Hello everyone. So today we're going to talk about borderline personality disorder, presented by Group 1. So, have you ever had a friend who would act extremely clingy at one point and the next moment act aloof? Or a friend who would feel suicidal one moment and totally fine the next? A friend who is prone to sudden outbursts of anger and would engage in self-destructive behavior? A friend who seems to always be suspicious of others, along with a fear of abandonment? They are most likely suffering from borderline personality disorder. But what is it like to have the disorder? What is the cause and how can people recover from it? Personality disorders come in many different forms and affect people differently. Borderline personality disorder, or BPD, is a specific condition that primarily affects self-perception and relationships. It's estimated that at least 1 in 100 people have. There are still many of us who have never heard of borderline personality disorder, and that is the topic we're going to cover. But first, we're going to introduce ourselves. We are from Group 1. We are UNS Psychology students, and our group consists of several members, namely Safa Hafiza Asha, Shenis Benfikako, Sri Lestari, Tigrisya Rachel Adewibowo, Yoga Saputra Sinaga, and Zainina Hamidah. We are currently in our first semester, but we are very interested in discussing this topic. We will explain and provide credible information on this topic, and we also use sources from articles, journals, and other credible sources. After doing some research and discussion on this topic, we're going to explain more about borderline personality disorder. So pay attention and listen carefully. So in this video, we're going to talk about what BPD is, causes, the signs and symptoms, the treatment for the disorder, and how to avoid it.
Definition of BPD. Borderline personality, or BPD, is a severe psychiatric disorder characterized by feeling of emptiness, identity problems, relationship instability, impulsivity, and fear of abandonment, among other features. Causes of BPD. The cause of BPD is not known, and it is suggests that BPD is the product of an interaction between genetic, neurobiological, and psychosocial influence that affect brain development. We conclude that the first thing could be causes of BPD is childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is the most significant risk factor for development for BPD. But research say that childhood trauma is not always present in BPD, and individuals that had trauma is not always necessarily develop BPD. The second one is physical abuse. Physically abused and or neglected children met the criteria of BPD as adults. Interestingly, sexual abuse history is not found as a risk factor for BPD. The last one is parents with mental issues and substance use problems. If someone parents have mental issues and substance use problems, and then their childhood is being physically abused, it's gonna develop BPD.
Next one is how people with BPD can experience intense mood swing. Next. People with borderline personality disorder or BPD can experience drastic change in their feelings or mood swings towards themselves, their environment, or the people around them for no apparent reason. Mood change can occur from positive to negative feelings or negative to positive feelings. Even research is still being done to determine exactly what cases of BPD may be influenced by genetic factors, by a stressful childhood environment, or by dysfunction in certain regions of the brain, but these causes don't directly explain what causes the reactive mood swings associated with BPD. Next. But there are several possible causes of mood swings associated with BPD. The first one is environmental triggers. Those who struggle with BPD understand, perhaps more than anyone else, what it feels like to be triggered by events and people in their lives. And the second one is abnormalities in brain function. Scientifically speaking, neuroimaging has measured that specific areas of the brain appear differently with BPD than in neurotropical brains. And the last one is lack of coping skills. BPD is a disorder based on emotional dysregulation. Mood swings can be pervasive, severe, and incredibly exhausting for those who experience them, especially if the person isn't equipped with powerful coping skill. Even until at this moment, there is no clear answer about what causes of the reactive mood swing associated people with BPD, but there are possible causes about that. So that's why we have to understand ourselves well.
Okay, we have discussed about the definition and causes of BPD. Now I'm going to talk about the signs and symptoms of BPD. So, what are the symptoms of BPD? There are several symptoms of BPD, such as the first one is fear of abandonment. People suffering with BPD are often afraid of being left alone. This causes feelings of anxiety and fury combined with frantic attempts to keep the other person close. The second one is unstable relationship. People with BPD struggle to maintain good personal connections and tend to have intense and short-lived relationships. They can easily go from idealizing to depreciating others and vice versa. The third one is unclear or shifting self-image. People suffering with BPD have a flawed or unclear self-image. Sometimes they like themselves, while other times they may despise themselves or even see themselves as evil. They may also drastically change their self-image as indicated by changes in their opinions, careers, or goals. The fourth one is rapid mood changes. People with BPD often experience sudden changes in how they feel about themselves and others that last for a few hours and rarely more than a few days. Irrational emotions like anxiety, fear, rage, hatred, grief, and love change frequently and abruptly. The next one is self-harm. Self-harm and suicidal behavior are common among BPD patients. They may cut themselves, burn themselves, or engage in other types of self-harm. Suicidal behavior, on the other hand, involves contemplating suicide, making suicide gestures or threats, or actually attempting suicide. The last one is chronic feelings of emptiness. People suffering with BPD often feel depressed, bored, unfulfilled, and empty, as if there is a void inside them. They will try to fill the gap by eating, doing drugs, or having sex. So those are the symptoms of BPD. But keep in mind, if you experience some or all of these symptoms above, it doesn't mean you have BPD. A diagnosis by a psychologist or a psychiatrist is needed. So it's a good idea to check with a psychologist or a psychiatrist if you experience the symptoms above.
Okay, the next topic is the treatment of BPD patients. Next. The first one, psychotherapy, sometimes called talk therapy, is the first-line treatment for people with borderline personality disorder. Two examples of psychotherapies used to treat BPD are: number one, dialectical behavior therapy or DBT. DBT uses concept of mindfulness or awareness of one's present situation and emotional state. Number two, cognitive behavior therapy or CBT. This treatment can help people identify and change core beliefs and behaviors that come from incorrect perception of themselves, others, and people's interacting with others. Next. Medication. Because the benefits of prescription medication for BPD are unclear, medication are not typically used as the primary way to treat the illness. Medication also can sometimes cause side effects in some people. Next, finding help. If you are not sure where to get help, a healthy care provider can refer you to a licensed mental health professional, such as psychiatrists or psychologists with experience treating BPD. The last one, other elements of care. Some people with BPD experience severe symptoms and need intensive, often inpatient care.
Okay, so another interesting point is about how to avoid BPD. Next. Actually, there is no surefire way to avoid or prevent the development of BPD, but there are some ways to reduce one of the risks. Recommend especially for parents to not repeat violence in any form to the child because it will cause a sense of trauma that continues to the occurrence of borderline personality. And also, if a person has experienced pressure, or painful experiences in childhood, it is better to consult a psychologist. This is done to help manage distress or negative emotions associated with the painful experience. So, we finally reach the end of our speech. In short, borderline personality disorder or BPD is a mental disorder that characterized of feeling emptiness result of traumatized about abandonment. BPD is more common than we think, so we must be aware of its signs and symptoms, such as fear of abandonment, unstable relationships, unclear of sustained self-image, rapid mood change, self-harm, and chronic feelings emptiness. Remembering the friend who would act funny at one point and act all of the next that we talked in the beginning of our speech? Now, you know the reason why they would act like that. People with BPD have a fear of being abandoned by those people around them, so they may act clingy. But because of their rapid mood swings, they can also act aloof the next.
And therefore, we hope that you will become more aware of yourselves and those around you. BPD, if left untreated, may have a negative impact on relationships, careers, school, and social activities. It can potentially turn fatal as a result of dangerous or suicidal activity. Okay, we have discussed together about the definition, signs and symptoms, treatments, and tips to avoid BPD. As BPD is more common than we think, the signs and symptoms are fear of abandonment, unstable relationships, unclear or shifting self-image, rapid mood changes, self-harm, and chronic feelings of emptiness. If you experience these things, don't panic. You can go to a psychologist or psychiatrist, and there are also some treatments to treat BPD, such as therapy and medications. And that brings us to the end. We'd like to thank everyone, and we hope the information we provided can give new insights about borderline personality disorder. We would also like to apologize if there are mistakes in our speech. Last but not least, we have a quote to share with you guys. It is from a best-selling author, John Green. There's a hope, even when your brain tells you there isn't. That's all from us. Thank you and see you.